please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Cochee?
Here.
Spinks? Here. Janutus?
Here.
Fluharty?
Here.
Smith?
Here.
Asbury?
Here.
Saunders?
Here. Council, you have the minutes of the work session of November 7th, 2022. Any corrections to that? Seeing none, motion for acceptance by Spinks, second by Janutus. Call the roll, please.
Cochee?
Yes.
Spinks?
Yes.
Janutus?
Yes.
Fluharty?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Asbury?
Yes.
Saunders?
Yes. Council, you have the minutes of the regular meeting of November 7th, 2022. Any corrections to that? Seeing none, motion for acceptance by Asbury, second by Smith. Call the roll, please.
Cochee?
Yes.
Spinks?
Yes.
Janutus?
Yes.
Fluharty?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Asbury?
Yes.
Saunders?
Yes. And no presentations tonight, so we'll move to old business. Ordinance number... Yes, sir. Ordinance number 1033-22.
Being an ordinance to make appropriations for current expenses and expenditures of the city of Bedford during the year 2023 and declaring an emergency.
And we wish to put this on second reading. And Jen, you want to give just a brief overall?
Sure, this is the second reading for the budget for next fiscal year 2023. We're just about finished up with budget meetings, going over the numbers, and we're hoping to have this passed the next meeting or even the last meeting of the month of December. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none, call the roll, please. Oh. That's a motion for second reading by Fluharty, second by Janutus. Call the roll.
Cochee?
Yes.
Spinks?
Yes.
Janutus?
Yes.
Fluharty?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Asbury?
Yes.
Saunders?
Yes. And since we're getting into reports, I'll report on, four of us were in Kansas City at the National League of Cities Conference. And we got back last night at 4 in the morning on a 18-hour train ride. So I'm a little tired tonight, and I asked our good clerk to make sure I stay on track. So
No pun intended.
it was, but it was. The conference was well worth it, and we picked up some good things. A couple of things we discussed in the caucus room, and some other things we'll bring to the city manager's attention that we learned there. Not that we'll implement or do everything we talked about with the vendors or in the classes we took, but we did gain valuable information and give us some insight to other aspects of how we're doing the city business, and it's what we went there to learn, and it's been good from that point. First there. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Just have a couple of items. I just want to commend our fire and EMS staff. The last couple of weeks, we've had a number of emergency responses. Unfortunately, there was a significant house fire last week on Palmetto with extensive damages. And then they've also responded, and this is just kind of a public service announcement. They responded to an individual attempting to burn their leaves, and how quickly those leaves expanded. Those flames were 10 to 15 feet high, caught a brush pile, and then began damaging garages. So get the leaves to the curb. We will get them as soon as possible. Don't try to burn them. And obviously kudos to our staff for getting that under control as quickly as they did. The last couple weeks, staff have worked with the juvenile diversion program that is now back. That was paused right before the pandemic started. It is good that that project the program has started back up. We've had some of the juveniles and our staff, we've taken them out over the last couple of weekends. We've worked to clean up some of the area along Mapledale, Rockside Road. And then this past weekend, they did it some more. So we'll be looking at it, you know, obviously, and you tend to see more of it too in the spring. But when needed, we'll have that program, and our staff will work with the diversion juveniles to address those areas. Crestwell Gas Line project is starting. Going to move that through as quickly as possible. Just ask for, obviously, cooperation from all of the residents. Police did post no parking along the street during that project. Please adhere to that. It'll be important for not only the contractor, but as those contractors' vehicles and equipment are in the street, you know, our individuals, should we need to, be it water department or safety forces, need to get through. So please adhere to those signs that are posted. Lastly, just want a quick reminder, the tree lighting ceremony is this Wednesday, 6 p.m. sharp. There will be activities taking place starting at 4:30. There'll be some ice sculptures down on South Park as well, so please stop on down. And lastly, I just wish everyone and their families and friends happy Thanksgiving. End of report.
Thank you. Mr. Law Director.
Same here, everybody. Have a happy Thanksgiving and healthy Thanksgiving, and enjoy the weekend.
Madam Finance Director.
It's basically my report as well tonight. Happy Thanksgiving to the families and your friends. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, Mr. Smith.
I would like to say, happy Thanksgiving, happy safe, Thanksgiving. Also, mentioning the tree lighting ceremony, it was mentioned 6 o'clock promptly. Everyone, please come out, enjoy the festivities. We're gonna be looking at a house on West Glendale that's been brought to my attention that was, had some debris in the front and in the back, so we're gonna try to figure that out and see what we can do about that. End of report.
Thank you. Mr. Asbury.
Thank you, Mayor. City Manager Malice mentioned the fire that we had on Palmetto. Bad situation for the family that was living there. Oddly enough, I was reached out to by an employee from Toyota of Bedford over the weekend, and Toyota of Bedford is looking at doing something nice for a family this year. And it just so coincided that we set Toyota of Bedford up with City Manager Malice, and they're trying to get with the family and do some good things in a tragic situation. So Toyota of Bedford, thank you. Mentioned the tree lighting ceremony. Bedford Downtown Alliance will have a wine, not raffle, but hang on, I'm going to read it to you. I'm going to mess it up. Wine fundraiser. So what it's going to be, we had a lot of businesses in the area and surrounding communities that donated bottles of wine. So we're going to have 120 poker chips, and for $5 you get a chance to pull one of the poker chips. You've got a 33% chance of winning a bottle of wine for $5 because we have 40 bottles of wine donated. So stop down at the tree lighting ceremony. The table will be set up outside of Bedford Falls Cafe from 5:30 to 6:30. $5 a chance. You can buy as many chances as you want. Along with that, Bedford Downtown Alliance will have a mitten fence, and this will be set up at the Muni lot, the fence that's by the sidewalk between Giannino's and Spirit Apotheosis. And what it's going to be is, there's gonna be a banner up, and we'd like you to bring any kind of new or gently worn clean mittens, hats, scarves, wrapped in plastic, and we'll have clothespins down there to hang them on the fence. If somebody needs one, they can take one. If you have one to give, please do donate. I think it'll make a big difference in our community this winter. And Saturday is also Small Business Saturday. BDA will have a table outside of Bedford Falls Cafe from noon to 2, and the first 30 shoppers that check in get a Shop Small tote bag. This way you can go up and down Broadway and purchase your gifts for your friends and family. And complimentary coffee, hot cocoa, muffins, and cookies for the first 30 people that register at the table. This Saturday is also Ohio State versus that team up north. Number 2 Ohio State Buckeyes and number 3 that team up north. So that starts at noon. I know some of the local businesses and the pubs are having specials, so make sure you get out and watch the game. Go Bucks, and a report.
Thank you. Mr. Saunders?
Yes, first I just want to wish everybody a happy and safe Thanksgiving. It looks like the weather's gonna hold, unlike last weekend where some areas really got blasted. Thank God we didn't play in Buffalo. Advantage Buffalo because of the dome. Anyhow, are we gonna continue doing leaves then until they're all picked up?
We'll continue to make passes, obviously weather permitting, once it snows.
Yeah,
then we have
well,
to-
right,
but
you
yes.
can't do it after that,
We'll
okay.
make multiple, we still have passes to go.
Because there's always neighbors who rake their leaves an hour after the truck goes up the street, so it's one of those type of things. Because we certainly don't want another repeat of the burning of the leaves, who happens to be a new neighbor anyway. So I don't think they were aware of the regulations, but they are now. But, yes, hopefully we can continue with that until everything is done. And then I'm gonna make my annual speech, which hopefully we don't need right away. But, please be careful when parking on the street, and especially if you pull your car out in the morning, and don't take it out or back in the evening. This is the time of year when it snows, and if it snows, you're gonna not either get plowed in or hopefully ticketed, because you shouldn't be on the streets to begin with, especially during the bad weather times, which is the next several months. So, be courteous to your neighbors, because if you park more than a foot away from the curb, hopefully we give tickets for that, because we have a lot, especially in my ward, a lot of driveways that are 8, 9 foot wide, and you can't pull out or back out if a car's a foot away from the curb, because the streets aren't that wide to begin with. So, please be courteous, which also brings you to the same point. Don't park in front of piles of leaves, because trucks can't pick those up either. So, but once again, happy Thanksgiving, and, oh, I know, there was one quick question. We set a date for Christmas in Bedford Falls, or are we not doing that this year?
We're not doing it this year, we added some of the activities for the tree lighting.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought, because I haven't heard anything about it. So I got asked a couple of questions on that, so. All right, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you. Mrs. Spinks?
Good evening, everybody, and happy Thanksgiving. Back, I'm so glad to see that we have some youth out helping picking up the trash. They were greatly missed. They used to help a lot. I know it's been those areas, Rockside and some of the busier intersections are hard to get to. So I'm glad to see someone's out helping pick up the trash. Don't forget that the museum will be open also pretty much all day long on Wednesday. The tree opening We have our tickets, our winners fundraiser. So Bear will cheer, we have game night, I have tickets, you'll also be able to get them there. Also this year, we're real excited, the Bedford Historical Society is excited to sponsor a Child for the Shop with a Cop. That's a great thing that those guys do every year, it's real important, so we just want to continue to do more things with the community and other groups. So that's one thing that the Bedford Historical Society is going to do this year. Let's see. Also at the National League of Cities, Mike, you saw all of those things that are brought to you about cool things that are going on for senior activities and special needs for the parks. There's grants out there. I brought back as much stuff as I could. I know that Maple Heights just got what I've been begging for ever since I've been on council. We need something for everybody to be able to do, to keep fit and to be able to utilize. Every city around us seems to be getting their parks updated. We really need to get our parks updated for toddlers and seniors and everything else. They should be something for everyone to do in our parks. I know they're trying, but I'm glad to see that's coming up. Me and Vic were really excited. He didn't go to this workshop, I did, but they had a workshop talking about, it was a round table discussion, and that's one of my favorite things about going to these continuing education and these workshops, is you have people from all over the place. Colorado, everywhere, they all have the same problems. Whether they're cities of 50,000, 10,000, whatever. We all have the same problem, and speeding is just like one of the big things. That and littering is one of the big things that all these cities face. Well, there's so many new things, and there was a company there, and it was actually started by the mayor there in Colorado Springs. And there's a mechanism called a speed table, which of course in Colorado, they get blasted with snow, so that's always been our big thing is, oh, we can't put in a speed hump, we can't put in a speed bump, because of the snow plows and stuff. Well, this is something that would say year-round, that you put your shop, so I did put information, I did card, with information to get in contact, so I'm hoping that we look into that, because the speeding, it's getting really dangerous on Rockside and Broadway. You've got to watch out when you're going through the green lights, because there's someone flying through a red light. And it's not just there, it's all over, but I'm hoping we're able to utilize some of these very interesting things that brought back. And end of discussion, happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Mr. Janutus.
Thank you. Just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. I know there's got to be something to be thankful for, and it's a time that we should consider such a thing. So, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. End of the report.
Thank you. Mr. Fluharty.
Excuse me. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I'm seated down at the tree lighting. And I too, Saturday will be watching the game from noon to 3, so don't call me, because I'm not going to answer the phone, and I'll talk to you after that. Have a good weekend.
That's it?
That's
Thank
it.
you.
Unless you want more. That's it.
Is that game or any game?
That game.
Oh.
Jeff, you had one more.
Mayor, yeah, I forgot to add, and thanks to Councilwoman Speaks for reminding me. All the proceeds from the wine fundraiser will go to the Shop with a Cop program, so we're sponsoring 3-4 kids also, so thank you.
That's a good thing. And my thanks to Toyota for stepping up.
That's awesome.
We got some good people here and help out when needed. The other thing, I was fortunate enough on Veterans Day, Frank Smith and I got to speak at the Bedford Historical Society Veterans Day program, along with 3 other vets. Give a little bit of experience, what we did, how we got there, what we did, how it affected us after military life. I know we quite enjoyed speaking there, and kind of belated Happy Veterans Day to all the vets out there. And all they do for us every day to keep us doing what we do. Appreciate that, and let's move along with ordinance number 10,034-22.
Being an ordinance declaring property and structure located at 54 Thames Avenue a nuisance and therefore condemning the property, ordering action and authorizing demolition and declaring an emergency.
A motion for suspension. Asbury, second by Saunders. Call the roll, please.
Cochee,
Yes.
Spinks,
Yes.
Janutus,
Yes.
Fluharty,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Asbury,
Yes.
Saunders.
Yes.
Motion for third and final by Spinks, second by Fluharty. Mike?
Could just add that we've been trying to address the property for some time now. It was issued a condemnation order in the initial violation notice that went back earlier this year in the summer. There's been no action, no activity to address the matters. We did receive a quote to demolish the home. It came at $9,740. Moving forward, those costs would be assessed to the property.
And I just want to point out, some people ask us, why did you see this bad house, why don't we tear it down? We have to go through a lot of steps to do these things. The city has to do everything legally and right before we get to it. Unfortunately, the people on the other side don't have to go by those rules, so it does take some time to get to these things, and I know this, these couple of houses, been a long time coming, so we eventually get to it. Any questions for Mike? Call the roll, please.
Cochee,
Yes.
Spinks,
Yes.
Janutus,
Yes.
Fluharty,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Asbury,
Yes.
Saunders.
Yes.
Ordinance number 10,036-22. Nope, I skipped one.
35.
435.
Here it is, yeah. I got it. Turned the page too quick. Ordinance number 10,035-22.
Also an ordinance declaring the property and structure located at 788 Wellman Street a nuisance and therefore condemning the property, ordering action and authorizing demolition and declaring an emergency.
And can I have a motion for suspension? Spinks, second by Fluharty. Call the roll, please.
Cochee,
Yes.
Spinks,
Yes.
Janutus,
Yes.
Fluharty,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Asbury,
Yes.
Saunders.
Yes.
Motion for third and final by Asbury, second by Saunders. Mike, I guess goes along with the other one.
Same situation. This is an ordinance authorizing the administration to take the necessary steps to demolish. We've worked to obtain a quote for this property as well. On completion of the ordinance, similar as the last, we will send certified notifications with all of the information. And then we have to legally provide a timeline, and if no response, we then move forward. And our intent is to move forward with demolition of this property as well.
Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Cochee,
Yes.
Spinks,
Yes.
Janutus,
Yes.
Fluharty,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Asbury,
Yes.
Saunders.
Yes.
Ordinance number 10,036-22.
Authorizing the city manager to apply for a fiscal year 2022-2023 Community Development Block Grant Fund through the Cuyahoga County Department of Development for the renovation and expansion of the Bedford Commons and declaring an emergency.
A motion for suspension by Smith, second by Asbury. Call the roll, please.
Cochee,
Yes.
Spinks,
Yes.
Janutus,
Yes.
Fluharty,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Asbury,
Yes.
Saunders.
Yes.
Motion for third and final by Spinks, second by Fluharty. Mike?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. This CDBG grant is an annual $150,000 grant made available through Cuyahoga County. Our intent is to apply for the grant and use the funds for needed improvements on the commons, the roof on the gazebo, as well as the train depot are in need of replacement, a complete repainting and refurbishment of the outside of the train depot is included, as well as audio upgrades for the commons. And not only the existing commons, but audio equipment that can satisfy the future expansion, which will be made possible through an additional $750,000 that we were able to obtain through grants and donations.
Thank you. Questions? Call the roll, please.
Cochee,
Yes.
Spinks,
Yes.
Janutus,
Yes.
Fluharty,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Asbury,
Yes.
Saunders.
Yes.
Ordinance number 10,037-22.
Also an ordinance authorizing and directing the city manager to enter into, I skipped one, authorizing the city manager to apply for community development supplemental grant for the renovation and expansion of the Bedford Commons and declaring an emergency.
So it's just not me.
Yeah. We're in the,
A motion for suspension. Spinks, second by Fluharty. Call the roll, please.
Cochee,
Yes.
Spinks,
Yes.
Janutus,
Yes.
Fluharty,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Asbury,
Yes.
Saunders.
Yes.
Motion for third and final by Saunders, second by Asbury. Mike?
This is also a county grant. This is the supplemental grant, which is a cap of $50,000. And saying we would like to utilize and apply for these funds to be utilized in combination with the previous grant. They both are on typically the same cycle, so we are applying for, to help offset the cost of the roof on both buildings, audio and repainting as well.
Questions? Call the roll, please.
Cochee,
Yes.
Spinks,
Yes.
Janutus,
Yes.
Fluharty,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Asbury,
Yes.
Saunders.
Yes.
Ordinance number 10,038-22.
authorizing and directing the city manager to enter into a contract with Lakeland Management Systems, Inc., being, for the municipal pool house renovations, being the lowest responsive and responsible bidder and declaring an emergency.
Motion for suspension by Asbury, second by Smith. Call the roll, please.
Cochee,
Yes.
Spinks,
Yes.
Janutus,
Yes.
Fluharty,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Asbury,
Yes.
Saunders.
Yes.
Motion for third and final by Fluharty, second by Janutus. Mike again?
Thank you, Mayor. This is the pool house renovation that we put out for bid. If you recall, a few years ago, we started discussing this project actually for a new construction. Those estimates came in at a minimum of $3 million. We went back to the drawing board. We did have that facility, a structural engineer check that facility, which the exterior is solid. We then worked with our engineer and developed plans to completely renovate the entire inside and redesign even the entranceway of that to make it more modern. We went out to bid, and this really came to fruition utilizing the ARPA grant dollars, as well as Economic Development Director Jennifer Kuzma applied for a couple of grants that are also going towards this project. The low bid came in at just over $800,000, although there is $45,000 built in as contingencies if we were looking to do additional items, which we're probably not going to do. The next closest bid was $873,000. It's our recommendation that we move forward with Lakeland Management, who can begin the work immediately, and our time frame that we had for completion, pending any major issues that come up, would be end of May, in time for the opening of next summer's pool season.
Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Cochee,
Yes.
Spinks,
Yes.
Janutus,
Yes.
Fluharty,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Asbury,
Yes.
Saunders.
Yes.
Resolution number 2593-22.
Authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with the Regional Income Tax Agency to participate in the Regional Council of Governments for the purpose of administration and collection of municipal income tax in the city of Bedford and declaring an emergency.
It's our wish to put this on first reading, or we want to check into before we make such a huge move as that. Yeah.
And just to explain it a little bit further, the city would be looking to partner with RITA, who would be an extension of our tax services. City would not be relinquishing any control or authority as far as the services that we provide. Still similar filings online. You'd have the ability to drop your tax filings off here, and we would make sure that was delivered to RITA. And again, this isn't an agreement, should we move forward, that is, what's the right term I'm looking for, a long-term agreement. This is an agreement, if we did choose to do so, and we did this for a year or 2 years, and we just simply weren't satisfied, we could then turn around and do that in-house. I will say, the one thing that RITA is very, very good at is their processing of tax filings. They have the staff to do that. They could identify, and there's a strong possibility that they could identify more tax filers that we could, specifically some of it, if it's contractors that are in town working for 2 months at maybe an auto dealer or at another business. There's a good chance that the tax filers would increase, thus bringing in more income tax to the city. The one thing that that we're looking to do is we would retain our collection efforts. We would retain our staff that handles collections. We would retain the outside company that works with our staff to go after the collection. Anything that we do collect, we don't have to pay any percentage towards RITA. So it would be a cost savings measure for sure to the city. But again, it's something that we continue to look at, and we wanted to at least start with first reading while we work through. And Jennifer's done a great job identifying questions and things that have come up, and Rita has been very responsive.
Questions? I need a motion for acceptance by Spinks, second by Fluharty. Questions? Seeing none, call the roll.
Cochee,
Yes.
Spinks,
Yes.
Nudis,
Yes.
Fluharty,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Asbury,
Yes.
Saunders.
Yes.
And now we come to hearing of citizens. If you wish to speak, please come forward, state your name, your address, and your comment.
Penny Wood, 395 Columbus. First, I'd like to thank council and everyone seated before me, as I have learned so much from each of you. Thank you for your teachings and allowing me to learn, even if you weren't aware of it. Mr. Malice, you definitely have the weight of the city on your shoulders, more so than anyone else. I commend you for the awesome job you're doing. I believe you keep the city first in all your dealings, and I understand you cannot please everyone, but you are doing an awesome job. Please do not change. Bedford needs you. To our new finance director, I wish you all the best and pray you always keep the city first and foremost in all of your dealings. Council, I believe most of you have taken on this position to speak for and on the behalf of all of your ward's residents, most of you. I want to relay a situation that I was directly involved in that literally broke my heart and angered me. I did not break anyone's confidence in this situation because I felt these people had been exploited enough. During the last campaign, while I was walking Ward 1, meeting these neighbors, Yes, many were solid Sandy Spinks supporters, and yes, many were not. Issues were relayed to me that hurt me so deeply, but I understand that possibly the hearsay rule would apply here, so I will not recite what was told to me. But I will say some Bedford residents desperately wanted change, were afraid to put the opponent sign in their yard, and stated they would not vote due to fear of retaliation. Well, that is extremely sad. Mr. Mayor, for you to state that it was a great turnout for that vote that year, only the minions voting for your choice of candidate. Many others would not show to vote. We observe Veterans Day, Memorial Day for the military, persons who have lost their lives fighting for our freedom. We celebrate this 4th of July for Independence Day. Bedford residents don't ever allow anyone to disgrace the men and women and canine units that have and are fighting for our freedom. Not ever. If you are in fear of your council person for possible retaliation for exercising your rights to vote, then I beg you to use the tools available to you. Take facts to your city manager. Take facts to your law director. They serve you. Do not hide from your rights afforded to you. Also during that campaign, we had to endure campaign speeches afforded to only one candidate at every council meeting. Be it during an election or any other council meeting, the reports should be about the city, the wards you represent. Not me, I. So since no one wants to point out when the back patting of oneself becomes obnoxious and out of place, I brought you all a gift. You're welcome. Don't worry, Sandy, I have a gift for you too, as we know
That's
you
okay,
enjoy.
I won't be accepting anything from you.
You will.
No, I will not.
So at this point, everybody has bells. So that when it starts, since you're afraid to say, please stop, or let's get back to the professionalism of what we're supposed to be doing here, everybody has the same set of bells. You can ring your bells, and nobody will know who you are, saying, let's come back to order. I understand that both Councilman Vic and Mayor Stan volunteer for Meals on Wheels. Maybe you don't do it for recognition, but I want to say thank you. Thank you for your time and your service, your dedication, and the time spent serving the seniors. I find it appalling that every 2 to 3 months. Oh no, ma'am, see, you
I have
picked,
the right to leave and not to listen to this.
you picked.
My residents that voted for me, they know the truth, so that's all I
Yeah,
have to say.
they don't. Thank you for your time and dedication spent serving these seniors. I find it appalling that every 2 to 3 months, Sandy's minion Dinah has to come present her with a certificate and never presents or acknowledges either of you or any of the other volunteers. Can it really be that Dinah and Sandy run and operate and complete the entire operation on their own with no other help? I know not. But again, an act of a minion, like a show horse, prancing for a photo op.
Well, let me interrupt, you're way out of line here. Way out of line.
No, it's actually,
Just stop, it's my turn to talk.
well, I thought it
She
was
doesn't-
resident, it was resident.
It was, but now I'm talking. she reports on stuff in her ward. She was not campaigning. Stuff she did even before she got on council. So that's not true. And she has never threatened or intimidated anybody about voting. And you're just way off base.
Sir,
This has just become a witch hunt and.
It's not a witch hunt. I walked the ward. Are you calling me a liar on tape?
I'm saying you're not fully truthful.
I'm extremely truthful.
Yeah, well, we have a matter of opinion. And up here on record, it's about her ward, and she's allowed to say that.
She's allowed to say what?
About talking about Meals on Wheels or trash or whatever. That's what she does in her ward. She's allowed to speak that way,
She does do that.
and that's fine. If
And
she
I
does it,
was
yes.
just thanking you for your time spent. I mean, if you don't feel your time should be acknowledged, well, that's on you.
I
felt
don't
it.
do it for acknowledgement.
And that's what I said, some don't.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So I leave you with the gifts. While I am not and never will be a minion, I will buy you a gift. With Sandy's gift, she does have a little can. So she can put her little quarters in. For each time council becomes about her. And then at the end, she can add her quarters up and put them into her favorite charity as long as it's not her. I will be keeping a dual residency so that I can attend and speak at further meetings and possibly run for council for the equality for all. Thank you for your time. Safe and happy holidays to all. Thank you.
Anyone else?
First of all, my name is Desiree Prim. I live at 143 Willard Avenue. I'm a little taken back because I haven't attended a council meeting. I'm usually working, but I'm disabled now. So I don't know what just happened, but Sandy Spinks is my council person. I have no complaint. No one told me to say that, so I don't know what that was about. I don't know. But my issue is that living at 143 Willard, I've been in Bedford since 1995. I was there when it was the Ames store and all of that stuff. I never had or dealt with trucks parking immediately along the fence. So you have a passageway, a strip of land, I believe belongs to Bedford. This would be my garage. This would be the fence. Trucks park right here. I have given Ms. Spinks pictures over pictures. This has been going on all summer, and it is so unnerving because I've had to call the police in the middle of the night because the trucks are running. I love fresh air. I suffer from anxiety because of things that have went on with my health, but I can't even get fresh air because the trucks have ran all summer. I can't sleep. I have to ask them to please come. I feel like I'm abusing the police officers because they're going over there and they're asking these truckers to leave. The dispatchers are telling me, ma'am, please don't say anything. They can be dangerous. Oh, I recognize that. There's a gap in the fence. It used to have a padlock. It opens and closes. I don't even go back there. They step in between. They urinate back there. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. But these 18-wheelers, I called 3 times last week. I called today. One truck, it sat there for 2 hours before it left, and another one pulled up. I mean, I out my window, if I'm sitting in my kitchen, I look out the window and where that City of Bedford sign is and I'm looking straight at it, I have a window of a trucker that is looking, I want to be able to have sunshine into my home. Do I have to put, over the summer, I put paper up. If I get up and I want to walk in my kitchen to get some water to take some pain medicine, and I'm going through it because I suffer from chronic pain. I have truckers that are looking right into my window because they park directly there where their window is aligned to my kitchen window. This is unnerving. I can tell you, I looked at something that's called Community and Environment Defense Services, where they look at what goes on with truck stops, because I believe my home is now a truck stop. Its adverse health effects due to diesel exhaust, its property value decline, and the possibility of crime, and it goes on further. But I'm experiencing all of this. I can't sit, I have an enclosed patio, I can't sit out there because of the diesel, and I use it all year round. But I don't know what it's going to take. If this company coming in, I had someone actually, badge number 64, I had him come into my home on Saturday because I told him, I said, I just want you to see what I'm going through. And he said, I wouldn't want to deal with this either. I really wouldn't. And I say that because this guy put he said he was going to be there through Thanksgiving. He was going to leave his truck, this big 18-wheeler truck there. He ended up, because badge number 64 called him, he left his phone number on the window and said, call me if I need to move. Well, what do you think? Do you think that you need to move? Why would you even think to put that on the window if you didn't think that you needed to move? When this company moved in, I think they should exercise some goodwill toward the neighbors that I have on Willard, because this is gotten out of hand. They're too close to our properties. They have a whole parking lot to park, and they're lining their trucks up against that fence. That's all I have to say. I want some help.
Just touch on that. We actually sent out notifications, certified notifications to the property owners, at least across the street. I will meet with the business owner and the property owner to your location. So this started a few years ago. Actually, what started it was these. There was an app, and I have to give credit to the former councilwoman. We were trying to figure out where all these semi-trucks coming from. There's an app called Trucker Path, and it is like almost like, I don't want to compare it to like a Wikipedia, but anybody can go on there and ping locations. Somebody pinged Meadowbrook as overnight parking. So these truckers that are traveling, now they're thinking, oh, overnight parking, that's what started this. So I went on, we had gone on there, the administration, and I don't know anything about trucking and anything, but we registered on Trucker Path and submitted the formal information that this is not permitted. The property owners will issue tow, and then it corrected it. And things resolved themselves for about, 8 months, maybe a little bit longer, and then they started happening again. And I can tell you the majority of the business owners, Mazda, some of the other businesses there, they've gone over there. We don't have jurisdiction. For instance, the city, we don't have the jurisdiction to issue tickets to those individuals or to issue a tow on private property. We can't do that. The property owner has to do that. But what we're doing now are taking the steps we've notified the property owners, we're going to start citing you. That cannot happen. And I will follow up with you if you leave me your phone number.
Yes,
I'll follow up with you later this week and let you know the conversation we had with that property owner. But this is how what it started. It started from an app on the cell phones for truckers. And now And I will say, we did go on that app again. I thought I corrected it and I deleted it from my phone and it's back. But we put it back on there, we checked. It is not marked as overnight parking. So I don't know if this is now a word of mouth while they're here, because it is not listed, at least not on the applications that we've come across for truckers. But we're working to address it. And I understand, I do. And I've spoken with all of council about the issues. You know, in one area, you know, they've dumped tires. But we were unable to, we can't tow it and we can't ticket them. But we can the property owner. And that's the steps we're taking. If it's a business owner, they're gonna get a ticket. And hopefully it resolves it. But I will follow up. If you leave me your phone number afterwards,
I will.
I'll follow
And, I called the DOT today because they have to register their trucks, and they told me that a city ordinance could be put into place, because even what I said with SEDS, the Community Environment Defense Services, they say that these diesel trucks, and my husband is a retired truck driver, that's why I'm really appalled at this behavior.
and we do have the ordinances prohibiting that.
Can we find them? Because apparently talking to these people aren't doing anything.
It's gonna be the property owners are the ones that are gonna get it, and or businesses. But I'll get your phone number, and then
Yeah.
this way I can kind of keep you up to speed with.
Mike, I gave it to you, with the piece of paper that I gave you earlier, with the pictures, I just sent you some
Yeah.
stuff earlier.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Look into that.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hello, I'm Sandy Slater and I live on 118 Tarbell. Mr. Saunders. I'm here basically because of the Rita situation. I don't know too much about the differences between what we're doing now and what will happen. You know, some people are just talking kind of back and forth. Yeah, it seems to be more problems with Rita because it's more of a bureaucracy. They can do more things or penalize, the penalties are a little bit more. Also to your role as a council on voting this and what are in the bylaws that allow you to do this? Do you have to notify residents or can you do it without notifying residents? So I think just basically more of a dialogue or more information for those of us who are interested. And I just learned about it this morning from a couple of Facebook posts, and they said, you know, they didn't want it just to be on Facebook, but I'm glad it was because I'm here. So basically, it's not that I'm opposed, but just more information would be great, I think. Secondly, the speeding issue, I like to walk, and I walk in my neighborhood usually, so one specific incident this summer, and it was late afternoon, early evening, I was walking on Lincoln, and there was a young person in a car 3 times sped the, length of Lincoln. And if he would have done it one more time, I would have caught his license plate. Is that something that I can call someone with a license plate if it's repetitive like that? If it just happened once, no big deal. And I sometimes call the non-emergent number just to kind of let someone know if something's going on. Is that something you would like us residents to do?
You can call anytime, call the police, they'll tell you themselves, call it right away. You don't have to wait 3 times.
Okay,
And if you have a license number, that helps.
yeah.
How fast they respond depends on what's going on that particular moment, but they want to know those things and take care of them.
Well, and I'm assuming if they have a license plate number and the make of a car, which I could have done, of course I don't remember it at this time, then they can do it at their leisure. And that brings to mind too, just within the past month, I was driving down Columbus toward Northfield, and this woman was, sped up to me real quick and then was tailgating, and then it was like, gave me the finger because I was like, driving the speed limit. So.
So I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, some of those that you mentioned it multiple times, just feel free to email, even if it's the make and color.
Yeah.
A lot of times, someone that lives in the neighborhood, and we've stopped at a home and knocked on the door. You know, I
Okay,
remember
great.
distinctly one incident where it was a distinct car. We had a special attention in the neighborhood because of speeding. We saw it parked out front. We went there. It was Dad's car, and his 16-year-old son was driving it, and Dad took care of it, and we addressed it. But it's something like that, like just there's a red Mustang that's flying around, or a green Toyota, and they never stop at a stop sign, you know. Ideally, we'd love to be in and be able to sit in certain spots. We can't always do that.
Right.
But if we know of a make or model, or, like I said, you just feel free to send it to me. We put it out to all of our shifts, and they're watching for that.
Okay, very good.
And then- oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna address your Rita comment.
Yes.
Again, that's why it's on first reading,
Okay,
not third, because it's the first time it's been out in the public. So anything, especially when it involves money and a change like that, we always do it on 3 readings.
okay.
You know, you get some of those keyboard warriors, we call them, they put out all kind of stuff with no facts.
Right.
And they get people riled up without knowing what's really going on, because we didn't even know until we discuss it.
Right, and I don't think he was doing that.
No, but I know there's plenty of them out there, but anyhow, so yeah, so Rita, and it's what we're charged to do, is to look what's best for the city. And we have an opportunity right now to check, nobody will be losing their jobs over this. 2 ladies in the department have already been promoted to other places within the city. And our finance director was interviewing for those spots, and so far, nothing. No qualified candidates are showing up. And it was one of those due diligence things. And Rita's been contacting it for probably years.
They had their 50th anniversary last year on the
They've probably
website,
been
so.
30 years.
Yeah.
They were here for a short time, then we got rid of them, but that was early when they were starting out
Okay,
and not really as proficient as they are now.
so you're saying if at some point over the time you feel it's not working and you do have the resources, then.
Yeah, we're not locked in. It's not like a 20-year agreement, it's a year-to-year.
Okay,
So we do have that recourse, and again, we go to 3 readings. Number 1, we get it out to the public, people can discuss it, and then our phones will start ringing. And we can discuss it. We've had questions for Mike and Jennifer to check certain things out. Yeah, we don't just like to jump into something, oh, that sounds good.
right,
It's just that an opportunity came up now because the 2 ladies were promoted. It was another time to revisit it. And then nobody would lose a job. We wouldn't be firing anybody we wouldn't do that anyhow, but that's why we're looking at it with 3 readings.
okay. Well, and I do want to speak, because you didn't mention Keith or Kevin. He helped me a lot, so if he's the one that's retiring, then, you know.
He's staying.
He is staying,
He's staying.
okay,
He's
so
staying.
he's a good person. I
He would
appreciate that.
stay no matter what.
Okay, good,
He's in a different position than
okay.
what we're looking at.
The only other thing I would just add, there's no additional charge to the resident if we would switch. It's not like they have to pay more of a fee, it's all the same. And any penalties and interest that Rita would have for their policies, we actually have those same ones in place now.
Okay.
So, you know, if someone doesn't file and there's a penalty and then interest gets on that, we do the same thing. So, but we are, like I said, we're looking at it.
Okay, and which is fine. Will you be sending out a mailer like you did for the Bedford Hospital?
So, we would not send any information out just yet.
Okay,
Obviously, we want to get all of our Q&A that we would need. If it's a decision that we're looking to go that route, there would be a formal release that'll go to every filer with all kinds of information. It's almost referred to like a welcome packet. Not only would it go to everybody, we would obviously have it. It would go out in our newsletter, our utility stuff, or social media, website, all of that, if we got to that point.
And then just lastly, the declaring an emergency at the end of everything. Since this is my first meeting in a while, what is that pertaining to?
That's, by law, we have to do 3 readings, different days, but it gives us the power to not have to do that by doing the suspension. We can suspend the rules requiring the 3 days if we choose to, and, because there's some stuff we have to do that, we're looking at a generator. When that comes up, we're gonna have to vote on that right away. Emergency thing like that. And we do a lot, but then when it comes to the, especially money, I don't do emergency, we do, other than, like I said, we gotta buy a generator, that's one thing. When it involves, changing fees at the, rec department or at the building department, we do those, always 3 readings, so it gets out there, people have a chance to comment on it. And, that's what, so the suspension is, and I don't know if you wanna give a more legal term.
Just one other thing, by passing out an emergency, it takes effect immediately. If you don't pass it on an emergency basis, then you have to wait 30 days. So even if you give it 3 readings and you don't suspend the rules, or it's not in the ordinance as it passes as an emergency, then you have to wait 30 days for it to become effective. So it's just a legal thing. It's just in every ordinance in every city, it says, in declaring an emergency. It's just the way it is, and that's really. And then sometimes we do have to suspend the rules because of urgency, like the mayor indicated. So, it's just the way we word it. But this one is sort of an emergency too, because, if they are gonna do our taxes, if they do, the council does decide to pursue this avenue, then, we have to get rid of, the tax year is gonna be coming to a close, and filing will be due in March, so for them to get organized and send out the notices that Mr. Mouse was referring to, and to notify the public, and the software, it's a pretty complex process to switch over. They will need, the more time we can give them, the better.
Sounds good. And I've been a resident for a few years, and I enjoy living here, and just want to let you know that.
Thanks.
Bob Dieterich at 137 Sample Circle. Something came up to mind, I just thought, when I went in to vote on that, Council Smith, I saw you were the only name in or ward 4. And I thought to myself, well, what if someone wanted to sign in for themselves? And I was informed that we didn't have a fill-in vote. And my thought there is, why not? Why should there not be a fill-in vote for the city? If someone else, for example.
Who said that? That's never been.
When I went to the thing, I asked, I looked at my ballot, and I asked the person there at the voting booth there, when the employees there, and I asked, and they said there is no fill-in vote. And were they incorrect? Because I look in there, I don't obviously.
I believe so. That's a Board of Elections question.
Well, wouldn't that be a decision on the part of the city as to whether or not they want to have that? Obviously, it was a city ward vote.
To my knowledge, anybody could file, or a write-in is what it's called.
Well, yeah, but that's what I
Write-in
see, there wasn't first of all, it's not described anywhere, so I don't know if I don't know how many people even know if there is a write-in, but if so, where would it be filled out?
Board of Elections.
So in other words, if I wanted to write in for myself, if I came to vote and I decided I'm going to vote for myself on that, I would have to go to the Board of Elections to do that?
Do they control voting?
No, it was no conscious decision on behalf of anyone up here. It was just, he was the only one who filed petitions. It was a special.
Oh, no, and I didn't question that, I understand.
No, that's how it is, but it's through the Board of Elections. You gotta follow their rules. There's certain things you gotta do to write in. It's not real complicated.
Okay,
There is probably a process that needs to be followed, but no one pursued it, and the city didn't pursue it. We don't normally pursue, we never pursue it. It's either a Board of Election issue, or there might have to be some affirmative action done by someone requesting a write-in.
if the city wanted that, if the city chose, we want to have open ballots so that we're waiting for a ward, and I see and I don't find a person there for a ward on that, what would it take the city to have the,
Again,
Well,
Board of
board
Elections,
changes.
Board of Elections controls that, we don't.
doesn't the city have a choice? I
No,
mean, can the
no,
city
no.
ask for
That's what I'm
that?
telling you. Board of Elections, call them, they'll tell you.
There's a
what you have to
procedure
do.
even for a write-in candidate, you still have to file paperwork to be on the ballot
And
as
that's-
a write-in candidate.
That's
It
been
has
law,
nothing to do with the city, that's.
That's been law
strictly for
forever.
Elections.
All right, okay, that's my question.
that's to keep somebody from just going up and writing their name in that day.
Yeah. By the way, in regards to the parking area that you're speaking of, have they looked at that as, looking at it as a potential zoning issue? Since if it's being used that regularly, if it was this one-time situation and someone parked there, you could consider it not a violation of zoning. It's becoming a regular thing, even if they're not paying the trucker, or even if the trucker's not paying for that, it still is a violation of zoning use or building use, isn't it?
Is,
So,
We have an ordinance, it's our overnight parking.
yeah, so
It's,
if that's not allowed, then
it's
what
again,
prevents you
the
from?
city has to go through steps.
we
It's
can't.
very frustrating sometimes, we have to go this step, this step.
Well, the
People
question
don't
is-
wanna follow it, don't have to follow
All
those
right,
rules.
so if it's
Practically
zoning,
pursuing it now, that's
yeah,
become
but I
more
mean,
of an issue.
can they pursue it, do they have to pursue only the property owner? Or can you pursue the trucker because of the use, the violation of
You have to
zoning?
do it by what the law says and our law director directs us.
Property owner.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Very frustrating. Anyone else? Before we adjourn, again, I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Enjoy the holiday, and it's one of the nice holidays, not a lot of stress in it, you don't have to buy gifts, and stressful for the cooks, but
You find a turkey.
something I really look for, we got turkey. My son-in-law's gonna cook, we're in good shape. Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, and, don't forget the tree lighting. Like I say, we dropped the hammer right at 6 o'clock. We have a big switch that our, head of maintenance here, and in City Hall made, it looks like a big electric switch, and I usually look around, find a couple of kids to come up and do it, and we count down, and when they hit that switch, I don't wanna give away the secrets, but they hit the switch and all the lights come on. These kids are just amazed that they lit up the whole square. It's fun, and the fire department will be there with, hot chocolate and donut holes. It's just a fun night, it's the unofficial beginning of the Christmas season, and it's just a good night, and I wish everybody would come out, and now I need a motion for adjournment. By Nudis, second by Fluharty. Call the roll.
Cochi,
Yes.
Spinks,
Yes.
Janutus,
Yes.
Fluharty,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Asbury,
Yes.
Saunders,
Yes.
Thank you all for coming.